This is the second part of the arguments for the existence of God. There will be a total of 7 parts. This deals with the fine-tuning argument. The fine-tuning argument contends that the universe's physical constants and conditions are so precisely set that life, particularly intelligent life, could not exist if they were even slightly different. The improbability of this fine-tuning occurring by chance suggests that the universe is intentionally designed. There are 3 parts to this consideration. The first is that the universe is indeed finely tuned. You have the gravitational constant, so that even a slight change would prevent stars from forming or cause rapid gravitational collapse. You have the strong nuclear forces, so that even a slightly stronger or weaker atomic nuclei would mean that atoms could not form, making essential elements like carbon and oxygen impossible. You have the electromagnetic force, so that variations would destabilize atoms and prevent the formation of complex molecules. And you have the cosmological constant, of which a small increase or decrease would either accelerate the universe's expansion or cause it to collapse, preventing galaxy formation. There is a tremendous improbability that these forces are what they are by chance. The likelihood of all these constants and conditions aligning perfectly by random chance is astronomically low. The universe's existence as it is seems highly unlikely without the consideration of intelligent design. The precision and the consistency of these laws point toward the idea of an intelligent creator. Now, there are 20 or 30 different constants that people have looked at, but a couple of the primary constants are the gravitational forces, the strong nuclear forces, electromagnetic forces, the cosmological constant, the electron-proton mass ratio, the entropy of the universe, and the matter or antimatter balance. So all of these are reasons to consider that the universe itself is fine-tuned and that there is a creator. Now, there are a couple of responses that atheists, agnostics, and others have to this. The first one is kind of an analogy. It's a puddle analogy. And basically, what it is saying is that if you can imagine a hole in the ground and it fills up with water, and the puddle looks around and it says, oh, well, this must have been designed for me. Whereas in reality, the puddle has simply adapted itself to its environment. And this initially appears to be a pretty good argument. Well, gee, perhaps the conditions were just fine and therefore you had life. But it is a simplistic understanding that misunderstands fine-tuning, because if any of the fine-tuning parameters were different, there wouldn't be a place for life to have formed. The conditions simply would not exist for the formation even of atoms and stars. The physical laws and constants are finely tuned, they're rigid, there can't be any variation in them, or life or matter even would cease to exist. So while we may observe the universe because we're here, that doesn't explain that the universe has the specific and the improbable properties that are necessary for life. The fine-tuning argument addresses the underlying improbability of these constants falling into a life-permitting range and suggests very strongly that there is intelligent design. Now, one of the primary arguments against fine-tuning is the multiverse hypothesis, which we discussed briefly in the last video. And basically, the critics say that, well, there are many, an infinite even number of universes, and in a number of universes, there would have been conditions similar to the ones that we have on this planet. So the fact that we find ourselves here with this particular set of constants isn't particularly remarkable, because there's going to be in the millions and billions and trillions of universes, at least one that looks like this one. Well, there are some primary problems with this. Number one, there's no evidence that any such thing ever exists. We don't have any evidence that there are alternative universes. We remember the Bohr-Goth-Millikan theorem, which says that any universe or multiverse that's expanding must have a beginning, which implies still a first cause. Then we have the philosophical idea that we want the simplest solution to a problem, not the most complex. It's called Occam's razor. And a single designer is a much more straightforward explanation than a multiverse of universes. And finally, the multiverse is really an ad hoc kind of design. It's set up in order that there might be a rebuttal of the fine-tuning argument, but it's just simply an imagined alternative without any evidence to support it. So the fine-tuning then does remain a very strong argument for the existence of God. It implies that there is an intelligent designer, and there is both philosophical and scientific reasons to support that.